She's a real pain in the... Welcome to the Pain in My Cast podcast with yours truly, Cassandra Jean. She's a real pain in the... Welcome to the Pain in My Cast podcast with yours truly, Cassandra Jean. Okay, so I recently went on a girls' trip with Sabrina and a bunch of other girls. And to say it went different than I expected, I don't even know how to describe this trip. But I do know how social media works, how Instagram works. I see girls posting all the time their trips in the mountains. They're in Colorado. They're wearing like the little ski suits, snow bunny suits. So when I got invited on this trip to go to Colorado, this is like what I was thinking in my mind. I was thinking we were going to have the best time. I had a friend that had gone to Aspen in Colorado, and he had told me that he had gone to this club. There were like 40-year-old MILFs shooting out champagne out of champagne guns. So, this is really, I was expecting luxury from Colorado, not knowing that not everywhere in Colorado is luxurious. And the other thing I think I've realized is how caught up in social media I have gotten, where I think part of me even going on the trip was wanting just to post like thotty bikini pics by the hot tub. So that being said, I am here with my friend Sabrina, who I did not know before I went on this trip, but I have become friends with her from this whole Material Girl in Colorado, the mountains trip.
Oh my gosh. Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Sabrina, and first and foremost, I can confidently confirm that the slopes were not the only thing that went downhill on this trip. So that's where I'm at. So Cass, let's kind of break it down to the very beginning. So you just said, we didn't know each other before the trip. All we knew was what we said in this massive group message full of random people. And even on that note, I only knew one girl, Allie, who was planning the entire trip, the whole time. And so it was me kind of meeting a bunch of new people all at Austin Airport. So how did you feel? So what did you think about the initial group chat? Let's start all the way back there.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, I just want to say that I am not a girl's girl. Okay, so first of all, being in a girls group chat is one thing. Being in a girls group is a whole nother thing for me. I'm really like a lone wolf, but going through my breakup recently, which I talk about relentlessly on this podcast, I like really wanted to surround myself with girls and feel comforted. My thing is though, I don't think that alpha females run in packs. I really don't think they do. But it just worked out in a way where I had met this girl, Allie, who you were friends with through a mutual friend group. We had gone to a dinner and she had put together this whole trip and threw us in a group chat together. And I was a little bit hesitant at first, but I was kind of just like, fuck it, I'm going to go on this girls' trip. And that's how I ended up in the group chat with you, knowing everyone who was going not very well, except for you.
Right. So, I mean, that intro is good. I was thrown into this kind of deranged alpha pack of women, if you will, because I got a text message one night. It was after I studied for the LSAT for like 10 hours that day. So of course, naturally, I'm delirious, right? Decision-making should not have been my thing. But here I go. I get a text from Allie and it's saying, oh my gosh, I'm going on this massive girls trip with these great people. Do you want to come with us? Right. And of course, I'm like, I'm exhausted. Yes, I need a vacation. I don't care who they are at this point. I can make friends with a rock. So I thought, right. Oh, proven wrong. But I was like, yeah, sure. And that's when the group chat came to be. That's when the Shein lookbooks started coming out, when the emojis started flying. It was just one thing after another, planning. It was, 0 to 100 real quick. So they said in what, 2015?
Yeah. I'm like dying when you said Shein lookbook because, this year was supposed to be my year to focus on fixing my finances. And the next thing I knew, I was spending hundreds of dollars on Shein, trying to
Oh
keep
yeah.
up with all these girls and making sure that I looked like Winter Wonderland Barbie. So I was like, holy moly.
No kidding. I actually had a Shein lookbook for like Colorado lookbook titled Bookmarked My Computer, right? And the
Yeah,
next thing I knew, I spent what, $400 on Shein. And if anybody knows Shein.com, we all know that everything is 25 cents and you can get it out of one of those gumball machines, basically. So
for
that's
sure.
where I was at. And we're all trying to, and I think it's a really good point because I think we were all trying to match each other's energy. And when everybody's trying to do that, the level just increases, and you don't know when to stop. So I think the important part is there was so much preparation, Shein aside, like Airbnb, rental cars, you name it, right? To go into this trip, months of planning, only to have it, you know, melt down, if you will.
Yeah. It did melt down. And I'll be honest, I've never been on a trip with six beautiful blonde women, but
Mhm.
the amount of prep, spray tanning, eyelashes, clothes, BMW car rentals, Mercedes car rentals, it's another level I've never seen in my entire life. And I think you and I felt some of that stress even when we were
Mhm.
packing, just a little bit of overwhelm there.
Literally, I was up until I want to say I don't even think I slept, right? I was just drinking wine and I got to the airport already pretty buzzed from the night before, you know? But it was just this all this packing. Is this good? Is this, suitcase enough? Is this one? I brought three of them, you know? And it's like it was crazy to me to think about all of that and I'm like, like aren't we supposed to have fun? Why is this so stressful? And that
Yeah.
really did set the tone, I think. It really did. But, it's like things that I've learned from this trip, and we can talk about it later, but it's like you really don't have to do that. You
No,
don't have to appeal to people via Shein puffer jacket, you know?
no. I feel like sometimes the less you pack, the better too, because A, it's easier to travel with, as we've learned. And B, if you really need something, you can buy it when you get there. Because I
Hmm.
feel like I do this every time I go on a trip. I excessively spend all this money, buy all this stuff, and then I go on the trip and I wear none of it. And the point of the trip is not materialism, but somehow I make it into that.
Oh, and I mean, it's not only you, it was everybody there. And that's a thing. And I think that's a huge deal with like not only this group, but society today and full circle back to social media. We all want this image. And, I just want to disclaim for this too. I have Twitter, I have Snapchat, and that's it. So it's like me having this lack of social media. I deleted Instagram, Facebook, don't count me in on that. And it's like, even then, I was still preparing for what? Going to sushi in Breckenridge?
I'm dying. I totally
Like,
forget that you don't have. So I'm like, yeah, Sabrina, what were you doing? Because mine was for my Instagram feed for people to look at me like, oh, she's cool as shit. Like, I don't think you're going to be posting that on Twitter.
no, absolutely not.
Maybe.
Mine, like, it was just this, like, personal, no dig on myself, just truth, and that's all that matters. Superficial. I want to do this. I want to be in with this crowd. I think they're great. Not that I couldn't in the first place, but I'm like, okay, again, like you said, we've got six blonde bitches ready to take on Colorado. And the title of this group chat is Snow Bunny Adventures with a literal fucking bunny emoji. And
Yeah.
even though that seems so subtle to everyone, like, oh, it's a bunny one, things are a little bit tense. So, I mean, moving forward to that, that's the prep, right? And so, we've got this early flight. We sync it all up to Denver. We're like all in the same one. We get to Austin Airport. I'm there like 2 hours early because TSA was a nightmare. And I'm just like, okay, where's the nearest bar? And that's where we
Yeah.
all, well, four of us met there. The other two were already in Colorado at the time. So we're kind of meeting them there, right? So the four of us meet up. But
Just talking about the packing, it was a lot. I know, I feel like you and I bonded over it, not knowing you. I didn't know what you looked like. I wasn't looking at your Instagram. You know, usually you can go and stalk
But I don't
someone,
have
kind of
one.
figure
Yeah.
out their whole MO, but you and I were just going back and forth. And I was like, I really like this girl. She's super cool. And we were trying to decide if we needed 3 or 4 pieces of luggage, right?
Oh my
It
gosh.
was
Yeah.
crazy.
Great point. I'm
Yeah.
sorry I even skipped over that. Literally, the connect from the start virtually through that field was just incredible with you. And I think that's like huge kudos to you on that standpoint. It shows a lot about who you are as a person and your personality. It's just really warm, which stood out to me amongst the rest, right? Which is telling, not on you, but it's that one person amongst this crowd, and you have all these alpha girls. Then you kind of have this one in it, and I'm like, oh, that's a bad bit. I want to be her friend. I think she's cool. I think we'd have a great time. And so we were texting so much, audio messages, you name it, about prepping for the trip, life itself, anything of the sorts, just getting to know each other, which really did pump me up for the arrival.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was so excited to meet you,
Oh,
especially because I think 3 of the girls were going to actually ski. And 3 of us were real material girls, thinking we were going to be sitting at the lodge, drinking a cocktail, and having all the hot men hit on us because we were a group of blonde women. So, you know, if you were one of the women I was going to be hanging out with, I wanted you to be cool. And we were like really vibing when we first started texting. So I was so excited.
and I love that for us. But what we didn't know was that all of these expectations that we had would upon snowball downhill, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I loved that connection. Did I feel it with a lot of the other girls right off the bat? No, but I understand that everybody has their own life. They have jobs. Everybody in this group, I mean, well, actually, no, not everybody has jobs. They don't have schedules, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll cross
That
that
is
bridge
a good
shortly.
point. I'm now looking at it like, wow, I was one of the working women of this trip, which makes a lot of sense. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just crazy. And so, 1 + 1 = 2. We finally, the communication through the text turns into in person. We're all at Austin Bregstorm at one point, and we're all like, okay, first and foremost, we need a bar. And I'm there first, so I'm like, okay, designated bar selector. I'm like, who are these girls? What do they want? What's their style? And we're also at the airport, so our options are a little bit limited. So we get
Yeah.
there and I meet everyone. It's you and then Steph arrived together. And I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, okay, well, I'm a thick bitch. I'm like, this is just happening right now. I'm like, my hair's curled, everything's good. Everyone shows up. We're all like, oh my gosh, this is great. And I'm like on my 3rd drink now. But yeah, I'm like loosened up. But that was quite the encounter, because immediately it was, I got 2 sets of fake boobs here, or it's like this one removed here. And I'm like looking at my B cup boobs, like this is happening. I couldn't order these on Shein.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my, me and my
That
knit
is
sweater.
so funny. And I feel like we just have to preface this by saying I showed up to the airport with Steph, which is where we met you at the bar. And Steph has been a friend of mine since high school. And she had come to the dinner where I had originally met Allie, and that's how she got brought into this trip. And I told her, I was like, she just got divorced. She's been going through it. She's a single mom. I was like, you need this. Come on this girls' trip. We'll have the best time. She doesn't work. It was easy for her parents to watch her kids. And so when I met you at the bar to get the drinks, that's who I showed up with, because we're kind of like yin and yang. Steph's real little. She's like 5'3" maybe, and with huge fake boobs. And then I'm just like a giant at like 5'10". So we're a really funny pair of best friends.
And I think it's like super relative, because when you have somebody who's so itty bitty, and I mean, I would say, super fake. And I'm all for that. I got my lips injected for this trip. And now I go back every 2 weeks and get it touched up. Right. So thank God. But also at the same time, it's not that I'm slandering that or anything. But what I am saying is that I was a little taken back. I was like, okay, so we have Cass and a 7-year-old. And the personality prevailed through that. It was, we've got Cass and the child. And it's true. It's just true. So it was crazy, but I didn't know that at first. So we're all there. I'm like, haha, look what's in my makeup bag. I pull out like this giant bag full of like, alcohol nips, which are like the small baby bottles of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like an adult baby bottle pop. Like, this is amazing. So, so we're there, and it's like we're all just talking, and right off the bat, and I want to give credit when credit's due. I think that everybody was very open and comfortable with each other. And I won't even go to the extent of being too open because everyone was comfortable. Everyone's just sharing, like, hey, this is me. This is my life. Get to know me. Here's my long ass bio about myself. What about it?
What pharmaceuticals they're on.
Exactly.
Kind
Like,
of,
okay, this bitch is on Zoloft. This bitch is on Wellbutrin. I have an IUD Skyla or like Mirena. Like, we're all talking about, I'm like, I beat teen pregnancy and I'm proud of myself. Like, like sometimes I drink way too much, but you know what? That's fine. But I wasn't the only one who had that issue. So,
oh, no,
I mean,
no.
it's just, no.
Yeah, 5 hot blondes with some messy, 6, I guess, but there was 4 at the airport with some messy issues. So it was a whole thing. And when you pulled out the bag of like mini bottles of liquor, I was like, oh shit, this girl is a good time. But it's really funny, Sabrina, because as much as I can be like a bad bitch and like a rule breaker, I was like, in here, I'm going, oh God, I think it's like a federal mandate that you can't like drink your own liquor on a plane. So I was like, I felt like I was being like teacher's pet or something, like scared that I was doing something bad.
Right. I mean, before the flight, after I went to the liquor store, but before the flight, so this is within a 5-hour period at this point, basically. And I Googled, my trusty friend Google, and I was like, hey, can you bring small alcohol bottles on the plane? And everybody on TSA.com or whatever it is was like, yeah, girl, you can. And I was like, okay, on it. Like, this is a plan in progress, because why am I going to pay $7 for that? Right. Which at this point, fine, it would have added up because I was like taken aback. And so, I mean, I thought that it was okay to do. What I didn't know, however, was when you mentioned that you're like, I don't really know if we can like DIY bartend on the plane, you know? And I was like, oh, okay. And so we're basically like having these bottles in our crotch. We're just ordering the mixers. And I'm like, full can of Sprite, please. I'm like, and a water or two. And thank you, Southwest Airlines, for your pretzels. That makes my mouth dry. So I guess a third water would be, necessary at this point. But it's just like, and I didn't hear any corny jokes from the flight attendants on the flight. So I was a little bit offended because of that. I was like waiting for the stand up. But yeah, because Southwest is as Southwest does. But that, and even then. And so, yeah, we're all aboard. And even before, what came to my surprise, not the mini bottles of alcohol that I brought, because I was well aware of those, but the chocolate. I was offered pieces of chocolate, specifically by Steph in this case. And I was like, yeah, okay, Ghirardelli me, What I didn't know is that it was actually full of psychedelics, and we're at the airport. And I was like, even knowing that, I was like, do you have any more? Like, I'll Venmo,
Yeah.
So there we were.
We already had like all the party favors for this trip ready to go. And Steph's guilty of that, but I'll say I always have a chocolate bar on me at all times. I definitely packed one too. And when I took that shot of tequila on the plane, I was like, oh God, because you literally take a shot of tequila and then I felt like tequila smell was just radiating from me. I'm like, everyone's going to know this chick is like chugging tequila over here.
Okay, I would blame the flight attendant in the back. And then also on the same token, I don't even think that I was more concerned about the smell of it. I was concerned that shit was lukewarm.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this move right here, this is feral. What we're doing right here.
I can drink tequila like room temperature. My friend and I have a saying that limes are for pussies. Same thing with tequila. If you can't drink it room temperature, vodka's a different thing, but tequila.
I mean, I respect that. And honestly, now that you mentioned that, you could definitely kick my ass. Like, that's a bad bitch right there. But oh my gosh. And keep in mind, we're at like milestone A for this trip right now. We are just getting to the airport. We haven't even, I mean, I guess we boarded for some of this, but we haven't even left ground yet. we are still on the tarmac. Like, they're like, okay, everybody take your seats. Like, C class is still boarding the plane, you know?
Yeah.
And here we are. I mean, there was four of us. So I sat with this girl, Jen, and you sat with Steph, right? And then Jen and I were very lucky to have a middle seat, right? So we had like just some room, right? Because we're not doing business. We're not for first class here. Like, keep in mind, we are
Right.
on Southwest Airlines, where you
Yeah.
fly and cross your fingers. But y'all have like this, I don't even know, maybe this obese man next to you. I don't know if there was a seat there. I feel like somebody was sitting there because y'all were sitting next to each other. And I was like, if given the option, I would have that space. But it's like, we are also near civilians during this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But
It
we,
was a
at
full
one point,
plane.
yeah, and it was a full trip. And so, okay, we take off. We're having fun. You and I are both in the aisle seats. We're going back and forth, this kiki time between us, just having fun. And what? 2 hours later, we land. We touch down, Denver, Colorado. Looky here. We have arrived, which I think every girl group says when they arrive to any trip. Like, all the bachelorettes are like, Nashville, you're not ready for us. And like,
Oh,
Nashville takes them by the hair and curb stomps them. Like that literally is just a thing. Like, they're like, you're not ready for us. And guilty is charged because we were like the same way. So the hypocrisy and making fun of it. But oh gosh, did Denver bend us over?
yeah. I mean, all I can think of with Denver Airport is literally us going to baggage claim and the amount of luggage we had to pull off the baggage claim in Denver between the four
Holy
of
fuck.
us.
Oh my gosh. And so that's one thing that, we talked so much about packing, and that's one thing that I didn't factor in, carrying it, or in my case, rolling them.
Right.
And I
But
was
so
like,
we're in Texas, so I don't know how often you've traveled cold places, but I haven't very often. And trying to pack that shit, like puffer jackets, fur coats, I gotta have my earmuffs, my scarves, my bikinis. It's like a whole ordeal. Like, it's not
not to
like
mention, mm,
just going. It's not like going to the beach and throwing a bikini in a bag.
right. And it's, oh yeah. I mean, we can't be slinky when it's like 15 degrees. They still have Christmas lights up, and I believe they do all year round, which to me is just kind of like this dystopian society. But here we are. You're not ready for
Right.
us, Denver. And so it's like, we have those clothes. And I'm like, okay, maybe like an airtight Ziploc bag that I didn't get. Or it's like for puffer jackets, or it's like, okay, I need half of this suitcase just for shoes. I need another half for the pills I have to take during this trip. Huge suitcase, by the way. Then I need another one for, I don't know, same thing, all these winter clothes. And keep in mind, like, I have family in Boston, so I should have known better. I should have known better. No.
So you're
Uh,
equipped for this weather. You've been equipped.
you would think so.
Oh, okay.
You would think
Yeah.
so. But I'm not equipped for this weather, the frigid cold, with this group. Because if it was me and my family, I'd be like, all right, Canada Goose me, I'm ready to go. Right? Material Girls in the Mountains. But I'm also like, Material Girls in the Mountains in Colorado, six of us together, all looking like this, humbly, but also at the same time. Keep in mind, I've got like a messy bun in right now. Like, I look like shit. But anyways, it's like, this is a different packing than your average, oh, I'm going to go visit my mom in Boston right now. I'm like, yeah, I can bring like a thermal and be just fine. But we're going here. I'm like, okay, so I need 5 necklaces. I need 10 pairs of earrings. I need 10 pairs of shoes. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be doing there, because with all the planning, we still have no idea what's going on. And there we were. So we touched down in Denver Airport. We all look like, I mean, mules, just dragging everything
Oh
around.
yeah.
I've got Steph, who's 100 pounds soaking fucking wet. Keep in mind, 50 pounds are her titties. And it's, trying to grab one of my bags, and which I really did appreciate. That was helpful. And then we start walking, and we continue walking, and we continue, we keep going. It is the pilgrimage to Mecca to find the Mercedes SUV rental
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. To get to the rental car, I feel like it took us an hour just to like go outside through
Yeah.
the parking lot, through the tunnel. Then we've all got our luggage. We've like rolled it in the cold all the way like down to this parking lot in the middle of nowhere that's somehow connected to the airport. And then Jen, who had been like so sweet, she had gotten the rental car for us because I'm not a planner. I wasn't going to do it. All I knew is that I had to Venmo her $250 for it. And I was like, fuck me, because I'm not used to a rental car expense. I don't know. I never rent them. And I was like, that's a shit ton of money, but let's get it, whatever. So she left us there with all of our luggage and ran around the lot trying to find the car, thankfully, which she did.
Usain bolted around that lot. She was literally like zigzagging around. We lost sight of her half the time. I'm like, okay, 100 pounds soaking wet. Such a sweet woman. She literally is so kind. That's occurring during this entire event. And I was like, yeah, is she going to be fine? She's like, I'm good. Screaming it from like 10 lanes over, you know, jumping up and down. Finally, do what?
She also hadn't eaten anything that day, okay? So this girl had gone from the airport to running around, finding this rental car, hadn't eaten anything, and then she knows that she's going to have to drive the rental car because her name's on it 30 minutes from the airport to downtown Denver. So bless her heart for that.
Right, exactly. Like, and again, sweetest thing in the world, heart of gold, really taking one for the team. She's like, all I need right now is possibly a sandwich, maybe a salad, maybe, I don't know, you pick 2 Panera. I'm like, yeah, we can. And she's like, you know what, though? I just want to get there. And I was like, this is setting the tone. You're a fucking trooper. I like you too. So,
right.
you know, so finally we're in the car. Oh, no. She pulls out.
No. Before, you have to think about before we got in the car.
Yeah, no, definitely. She pulls up in the rental lot, just rolling up in the Benz. Ayo, you know, literally just like slides in. And all of the bags, I'm trying to figure it out. I had 3 suitcases, large, medium, small, which the large and medium, again, circle back to Shein, those sizes can be interchangeable. So that was my 3. Jen, she had 3. How many did you have?
I think I had like 2 and like a huge duffel bag, so pretty much 3.
So we're at 9. And then Steph had
a suitcase and a duffel bag.
Okay. So we're 11. At 11. And when we say Mercedes SUV, we're not saying we got a G-Wagon, okay? We're saying we got a mom car that goes to Pilates every morning and drinks, I don't know, Belvedere at the PTA meeting. You know the type. Yeah. It's not massive. And then you have all of us who are just deteriorated from the day of traveling, which took forever, trying to Tetris all of these 11 bags into the trunk, singular, just trunk area of the vehicle, right? Because we're not just going to double buckle all in the front seat. So and then keep in mind, during this time, Allie, who's already been touchdown in Colorado, is blowing up everybody's phone, probably a little bit drunk, respect, same, but with a ton of people. So she's calling me. I can barely hear what she has to say, but I'm trying to be helpful and make it out. So I was pretty useless on the Tetris, but because you were an asset on that, how did that go?
I'm like trying to think, I don't even think I helped because I feel like I was just standing there looking at it like, oh shit, we're going to have to get a second Uber, like a car to go with the rental car together with all of our shit. I didn't think it was going to be possible. And like, I have to say that Jen, as tiny as she is, she was like shoving those luggage in like it was nothing. And she says she works out every morning at 6 a.m. So it's obviously paying off for her because I don't know how we would have done it. She shoved everything in there pretty much. I helped where I could. And then she started driving us to downtown Denver. And I mean, I feel like I could tell she was like getting on the verge of like about to snap almost, you know, she was getting hangry and I felt bad for her because it was a lot having to put all that shit in the car and then drive all of us after being on a plane for 2 hours, trekking around, finding the car. So it is exhausting, you know?
Yeah, especially, I mean, there was 4 of us and then 1 Jen, so included. So there's 3 people, you know, just fiddling their dicks in a corner at that point. Like literally just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like we're here. I'm like, literally waiting for her to come back. I'm taking shots of lukewarm tequila. I'm like, this is great. And then I got Allie on the other end screaming into the phone, like, what's going on with everybody? I'm like, who cares? Like, you're not even supposed to be here on the first night. But like, hey, we're fine. She's like, well, what does fine mean? And I'm like, we'll get there. I'm like looking at Jen in the back, just stuffing things into it. I'm like, she's on an expedition to figure this out. Call her Lewis and Clark. Consider her Magellan himself. And so it's just crazy. And I mean, she really did everything going in there. And so super kudos to her. But then when Jen figured out the entire Tetris puzzle situation with the luggage, there were no seats left in the back.
Oh, yeah. But we made it work. It wasn't, I mean, I don't even know what we were sitting on. The point is, all 4 of us and all the 11 pieces of luggage could functionally now move from the airport to downtown Denver. And that's all we needed. Comfort was not an issue. I could care less.
Like my
as
sex
long
life.
as we got to the hotel. Yeah. I mean, I was happy as long as we got there. So
I was just sitting on something. So, okay. Anyways, we're on our way. We've got this 35, 40-minute drive at night. We've got hangry Jen, who basically ram shit all day like the boss she is. We've got Steph in the back, which I think was arguably her most unproblematic moment within the entire day, of course. You and I are just like, okay, what do we do for aux? Like, what should we do?
Oh, the music,
right now?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we feeling? Are we going to do Young Thug right now? Or are we going to do Group Love? I still don't know where everybody's at, Right. And I'm like, I'm on this. And then everybody knows having aux is like dancing with the devil, because you can either make it the best time in the world, you can have fun with that, or you've just ruined the entire drive. And so I'm like, okay, set the tone. Finally, we get to Denver. We pull up to valet the car at the hotel. Nice hotel, good one. And everybody starts just kind of like freaking out. I'm like, okay, you know what? I booked it. Let me just go in, talk to the front desk. Y'all sit tight, because there's so much traffic, and the hotel's way of valet was not the most efficient or effective. You're on the side of the road in downtown Denver with mass traffic to your left and then also to your right. So it's just like, what the fuck is this? But limited space, we get it. So I go to the front desk. I'm talking to them. I'm asking them if they have like some snacks. Maybe a little like, okay, so like, is the champagne in the room? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, great. And, Jen has had it up to here. If you can see where my hand is at, it's just through the roof, extendo, She just walks in because, I've been waiting for a long time outside with all the traffic in the rental car in her name. I don't blame her. Hungry after a day of traveling and not eating. I feel it. And she comes in and she's like, listen, to the front desk, like to the staff. Listen, I've been waiting out there for so long. She's like, and this is unacceptable. Like, this is not okay. And the man at the front desk was like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. We'll get someone out to you right away. And she's like, good, walks out. It wasn't bad. I understood the frustration, right? And I'm still standing there with my dick in my hands because I'm like, okay, all right, we were just really connecting. And I was like, nah. And I was like, you know what? She's hungry. We need snacks, stat. Comp those, gives a bunch of us, all these snacks. I bring them out. I have them in my purse. I'm like, here, trying to like give her a treat, like, would you like a
yeah, no,
bar?
You're so yeah.
Like just trying to make the best of it. And so I think this was it was dark. So I think it was daylight savings time or whatever it is. Who gives a fuck about that? That's stupid. But it was like, I want to say 7 at the latest, maybe. So keeping this timeline. Finally, we get it valeted. We get all 500 bags out of the vehicle. We put them on this like luggage trolley thing, if you will. We have all the keys. We make it up to the room.
Can we mention that they like didn't have a bellhop? So literally we had to take all 11 pieces of luggage on a dolly up to the room.
And this was a nice hotel.
This is what's so bizarre to me is you took care of the hotel, like with your family's points and your points and everything, which is so nice. And you booked us at a very nice hotel. I'm very familiar with the hotel chain. And then we get there, the valet's running around. Like, I think he even told, I don't know if you were with me or if it was Steph, but he told us basically that he wanted to quit his job or was miserable or something like that.
Yeah.
Then we had no bellhop guy there to help us take the luggage up, which whatever, we can do that. But if there was one, I would have been willing to tip him fat because I did not want to roll 11 bags up to the room.
I met one bellhop while we were there. And, it's Colorado, tie up. Everybody's pretty high there. Everyone's really stoned off there. This guy was on some next level stuff and he was stressed out. So picture, killing 2 blunts, ripping your bong thrice. You've got your rig in the corner and you're just like, you know what? Wax 2, why not? And so then he's like, that's my break, going back to work. And he's stressed out. He's paranoid. People are like, what the hell's going on? Because everybody else there trying to check in was thinking the same exact thing. And so he was AWOL, completely AWOL from the moment he just clocked back in. So he wasn't helpful. I agree with you. So we, pack all this stuff up, or y'all did. I was at the front desk. Everybody packed stuff up. We're trying to find the elevator. Finally, there it is. It was like hidden. And we, stumble upon the room. Then we get there and we all look at each other and we're like, all right, so now what? There's a bottle of champagne, in ice on the counter. And I'm like, you know what? First things first, let's pop this. And then the news breaks. Steph breaks the news.
What news?
Steph breaks the news at that point in time where she's unavailable to consume the champs. And at that time, I'm like, you know what? Totally fine. I don't know what's going on. Totally fine. If you don't do that, you want some water? Like, that's cool too. Like, I'm not going to dog you on that. You don't have to tell me anything. And that's when that news broke. Okay, we can edit out. Can we talk about that or no? Is that awful?
Yes. Yeah. And I will say that might have been where things started to go downhill because I could see her getting very frustrated that she could not partake in drinking the champagne, which I understand. You're on a girls' trip. It's kind of celebrating your divorce. But there is only a certain window of time that Steph is allowed to drink in for certain reasons. And at that point, I don't even understand how it works, but at that point, she wasn't able to drink.
Right. So what I'm familiar with this situation, from what I gathered in that moment, was that there was a court-ordered breathalyzer on Steph's end, which she claimed to the world, or claimed to us. So at that point, it was her world at the time, because that's what we're living. And she, claims that it was my decision to get. That's what I, chose during the divorce. He recorded me. The phone was on the mantle. We were having a drunk altercation. She doesn't use big words. She shouldn't say that. But she was like, basically, but I chose to do this. Okay. Growing up in a family of lawyers and going to law school, I don't know everything. I'm not going to act like I know everything at all, but I will tell you that you didn't choose that. That was not your choice. That was court appointed. And this comes around to not bite me in the ass, but it just comes around to kind of like throw a turn on my night, but we'll get there. And so nobody says anything. Nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, no, like you didn't choose to have that breathalyzer yourself. Like that is like totally thrown on you, like hammered down, like gavel down, click, like case adjourned. No one's going to say that. So we're all like, all right. And she's like, okay, so, I have to do this and it has a camera attached to it. I'm like, this is like fucking high tech. Like this shit's like an iPhone. This is crazy. She's like, he can see it, the divorced husband or whatever at the time, can see the pictures, whatever. I'm like, that's a lot of access. Like, shouldn't this just be to, anyways, besides the point. It's like, I have to do this in like 4.5 hour increments, but time's up at 9:30. 9:30 hits. I'm through the roof. I'm going to celebrate. My ass is over there like, yeah, celebrate. Like, we're down. Everybody's like clapping. It's like standing ovation. We're like, yeah, live your truth. Like, do it. Like, have fun with the girls. Nobody's saying anything negative about it.
No, not at all. And like, I feel like at that point, we were just enjoying our champagne. We were starting to get ready because we were hungry and we all like wanted to look cute, right? So we were all in the room getting ready together. And then the thing I noticed from Steph is when it started getting closer to 9:30, she started like really starting to come at me like, I'm going downstairs right now. Like I have like really itching to like have a drink. And it was frustrating to me because I was like, I just need 5 more minutes and then I'll come down with you. Because for me, having a drink, I don't just run down to the bar by myself. Like
Right.
if I'm going to have a drink, it's going to be with my girlfriend. So it was very frustrating to me. And she ended up waiting for me. And when we went down to the bar downstairs, it was also a restaurant and it was a part of the hotel. And they had stopped serving food, I think, at like 9:30. So we were just there to have some cocktails. So we sit down and I ordered like a dirty martini. Everyone orders a drink. She orders like a dirty martini and a Manhattan at the same time. And the bartender was like, you want both of these? And she's like, yes. And I'm sitting there like, holy shit. Like, sure, double fisting, not the necessarily classiest thing, but B, who drinks a dirty martini and a Manhattan together at the same time? Like, so weird.
Right. So I remember the last time that I double fisted was actually at a frat party during my undergrad, right? It's not a thing that you do when you're at I'm not going to say it's top tier level, but I'm not going to say it's bottom tier or even middle tier. It's a higher class place. And that's just not what you do. You could do one at a time. Because what my mindset is, what are you going to do? Take a sip of the martini, take a sip of the Manhattan. You're just going to kind of cross those up. Like maybe you should just go and order a hurricane for all I care. And I just want to disclaim on this too. We are not by any means, and it does sound like it, but it's not intended, shaming anybody for drinking. We're not shaming anybody by any means for, going out, having a fun time. It is in mind, a girl's trip. We're all having fun. We're all doing it include.
It's almost what I'm saying is almost the opposite. It's like I don't think any of us needed to have a drink that badly besides her. It's like the rest of us were just, we could care less if we were drinking or not. We were just kind of doing our thing in Denver. So
it wasn't a race.
No, it wasn't a race. We weren't itching to drink, but we had a few drinks before we went out anywhere, before we left the hotel at the bar, and we needed to find somewhere to eat. And it was like 9:30 at night. And little did we know that, like, I don't know what it is, nothing in Denver on a Saturday night, no restaurants were open past 9:30 p.m.
Oh my gosh, right. And
like, what is with that?
That blew my mind. And we'll full circle back to this here in a moment too, but that blew my mind that nothing was open. And again, Saturday night in Denver, which is a large, of course, as we know, a huge urban area. You've got a high density population, right? So you're there and you're like, okay, so over here to my left, we have the homeless epidemic on the street. Over here to my right, we have 5 closed down restaurants. They're not like it was closed down like, okay, we're done forever. They're like, yeah, we just like clocked in for the night. I'm like, it's 8 p.m.
Yeah. I don't know. Were we?
PM.
This is what I'm still questioning is like when I've talked to my friends, I'm like, were we in the wrong part of Denver? Because I didn't know Denver was so full of so many homeless people. I'm kind of used to seeing that here in Austin. But really, like I said, my picture of Denver was that there would just be a lot of men there that were like manly men, outdoorsy. I wasn't picturing non-existent restaurants and homeless people.
Right. And it was a big shock to all of us, of course. And it was like not what we were expecting. And definitely, I think it was the area we were in. There was that one bar we went to after dinner and we'll cross that. But it's like, I think huge urban area, not in the right place. Of course, there is going to be a homeless population. And we're all just kind of like, okay, all right, we're on it. And we're not saying anything bad about that. I feel bad for them, but I'm like, this is crazy. When we're talking about this, we mean there was an abundance. It was everywhere. Just when I say epidemic, I mean.
Well, and not to be rude towards that or anything, but look, we had prepared for a Material Girl World Colorado trip. And, like I said, more so lounging at a lodge, kind of a little bit more luxurious. But I had never been to Colorado, so I didn't know what to expect from Denver, and I didn't know what to expect from Steamboat Springs. And honestly, I didn't even really pay attention to the trip itinerary or look up things to do. I just kind of was going with the flow.
Right.
But we did eventually find that cantina restaurant to go to. And even that was another experience in itself. But thankfully, we found somewhere to eat. And I was a little hesitant to eat. I didn't want to eat at a Mexican cantina in Colorado when I'm from Texas. But you do what you have to do when you're hungry.
Yeah, it's a material girl trip where material girls in the mountains. But in Denver, we begin in the slums. So with the options limited, we were like, you know what? We're starving. At this point, Jen is like, I'm going to actually physically assault someone. Allegedly, no, she didn't say that. But if I were her in that situation, I would definitely do that. I'm thinking about how she was feeling and how I was feeling because I ate that day. But thinking about that, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Their tacos are going to be shit. Do they have guac? Do they know what guac is? Just don't mash just an avocado for me, which they did. And it was crazy. But we're there and we get there. And, I'm like, okay, close to closing, if we pay these people a solid amount of money, maybe they'll have the incentive to stay. And they did, which I was really grateful about. We all order food. And again, full circle back to Steph, we're getting her and her fifth martini, just at this establishment alone. She takes the olives. She's like deep throating 3 olives on a little plastic spear.
Did she do that?
Yes, yeah, she did. I literally, because I have it in the Snapchat story that I saved. Well, I didn't put it on my story, but I had it in a Snapchat because it was so bad I wasn't going to put it on my story. She's really horking that back, like trying to make it overly sexual, but it's just like, I'm looking around and I'm like, we're not on the same level. You're on your own level. And throughout the night, I kept thinking to myself, Steph, like, don't you know that you're going to have to blow into your court appointed stick in the next couple of hours? I mean, I understand that you got this break during the nighttime, but this is kind of like comparable to like Singular raising the bar. Like those minutes roll over, dude. Like that alcohol, that's going to roll over. Like you should be cautious. Have a good time, but be wary, and we're saying this out of care. But yeah, no, she was literally just there, like just putting them back. And I was like, honestly, I respect your skill. I respect what you're doing. I mean, I respect that you can really throw it back there. If I were you, I would be gagging in the corner. But you, that's execution.
Yeah, so I feel like we were all drinking a lot though at dinner. Yeah. Like I took more shots than necessary. I know I also to dinner brought my mushroom chocolates. And I ate a lot of those. And I think that caused me some issues later on in the night because we're already in a strange environment. Things aren't going the best. And then I just added that on top of the situation.
I mean, at that point in time, personal opinion, I thought it was rock solid. I mean, we're all drinking. We're all having a good time. Who cares what Miss Steffi girl is doing in the corner over there? I'm rooting it on at that point. But I'm trying to get to that level. So we finish up dinner. I mean, you and I barely ate because we were like, this is just not the Mexican food that I would have rather had Taco Bell. And that's saying something. That is a bold claim. But I would have rather had a Crunchwrap Supreme than what I had there. And same goes to you. I mean, it was evident. Yeah. And so then after that, we're like, you know what? We're in downtown Denver. We're going out. We're not calling it quits after a shit quesadilla. Okay. Like, let's go have fun. So we ask people, like locals, we're like, okay, so like, where do we go? Like, what's the scene? It's Saturday night. Are they even open? What's going on? So we stumble up to this club, if you will. And on the top floor that we can visually see before we get in, there's this concert like area, live music. It looks pretty lit. And I guess you have to be a certain way to get in there, which I thought, okay, we're fine. And then there was downstairs, like underground. When I say underground, I don't mean it in a cool way. I mean it in the worst possible way possible. Like that's
it's like where the rats came from. Like the rats came from underground of that club.
And we pull up, we're walking. We walk up to this club and there, of course, like bouncers at the door checking IDs. Steph, of course, she forgets her ID. She's sloshed. And, the bouncers originally were like, no, no, not anything
Wait,
but you.
did she not have her ID?
Didn't have her ID. It didn't have common sense either. It was lacking both. And I have, however, a bag full of leftovers, shitty Mexican leftovers. And I look at the bouncer and I literally remember clear as day. I looked at him and I was like, "Are you hungry?" He was like, "Kind of." And I was like, "I have got a bag full of Mexican food right here." I was like, "If you let this one in, you can have dinner tonight. Okay. If it's not you, I'm giving it to this guy who's sleeping in a sleeping bag on the side of the road."
I did
Okay.
not
One or the
know
other.
that. I didn't know that's how she got in. I knew you gave the food away, but I thought it was to like a homeless person.
No, bartering system. It was that bad. So I gave it to him. He's like, "All right, in the clear. We're getting in." And then this woman in a knit beanie, a lot of knits on this woman, a lot of knits, right? So I'm looking at her. I'm like, "Hey, you're warm. Cool. I'm freezing. I'm in a crop silk outfit with a blazer. But all right." But she like had this high and mighty tone and she was like, looks at Steph and she's like, "Not up here." Like we were like sent to the seventh layer of hell.
I didn't understand. I could never figure out why we couldn't be upstairs because we looked like way better than anyone else there. I couldn't understand. She just
Each
didn't
and
like
every
us?
one. No, yeah, exactly. And I'm
So she
like,
sent us to the basement,
right, we were
which was the
not.
basement was like the 18 and up part of the club.
See, that I didn't catch the memo of, but now that makes sense to me. But we were not able to attend this little concert of no name, what's her face, singing along on the stage. Like, I would have been cool with that. Cool lights, cool mood. I'm cool with that. But they were like, absolutely not. Down you go. And then down we went, click clack in our heels, down like what I would figure is 50 different steps. And then we enter this facility that I never thought my retinas would be exposed to.
Okay,
Those
wait,
sins.
Sabrina. I
Yeah,
feel like it was like a drug lord den where everyone was on like heroin or something. Like literally, like people were laying on the couches, like spun out. Like I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like I feel like I was at like a heroin house.
exactly. I mean, the trap houses that I've been exposed to in my day and age, right? My young years, like, which doesn't sound good when I say that a lot, but it was nothing compared to what we were exposed to there. I knew that, like, okay, you're like, okay, recreational cannabis, if you will, legal, right? Heroin, black tar? No, not so much. They didn't give a fuck. So we go down there and people, it's like head banging. You're in fur, by the way.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
in
I'm
a
literally
I'm in
wearing
a
a
blazer.
giant fur coat that's like a real fur. You're dressed like in a blazer and like I think you're wearing like sparkly shoes.
Oh
You
yeah.
had like a dark lipstick. Like we looked
hmm
A, way too old to be there because it was 18 and up. And
Yeah.
B, like we looked way too classy for most places, let alone that place.
It was
But they
insane.
were very welcoming. It looked like we were more than welcome to take a seat on the couch and lay next to the druggies because literally Steph, like I don't know if you saw this, but I think she was so drunk, she went and like sat down next to someone on a couch and started talking to them. And I don't even know how she would form a conversation with this person because this person looked high as hell.
That's exactly what I wanted to do all night. Like that's exactly what I had planned for downtown Denver. This
Yeah.
scene, going next to all of these people, perfect, amazing. We're like down there, and it's like outfit wise too. Circle back on that. Like when we say fur coat, it wasn't like Macklemore thrift shopping. It was like Macklemore meets Saks. It wasn't some right. I was like, we're gonna get mugged.
No,
You
it's
know,
my no,
this is it.
it's real fur. It was like my
Yeah.
grandmother's. Like it's real fur. So yeah, I was like, we're gonna get mugged. I had this purse and it looked like a Chanel bag. And this one girl outside the club, she was like, "I like your Chanel bag." I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "It's Forever 21."
It's Forever 21, and according to this club, I finally turned 22. Like it's just like this. I've aged out of this scene, and
Well,
oh gosh,
I mean, it started getting concerning for me, Sabrina, where I felt like my safety was like threatened. Like I felt unsafe being there. I was already feeling like I had to babysit Steph because she was obviously spun out. I forget what a lightweight she is. She's really little. And, that happens to the best of us. But there's something else with her when she drinks, she flips a switch. So I think my whole anxiety levels were just heightened because I was like, I'm in a different city from home. And now I've got to deal with this too. And all I wanted to do was go home from the club to the hotel.
Exactly. And like, I don't blame you. I mean, like I said, 50 stairs going down to the gates of hell. I'm on stair 3 from the top and I'm already like, you know what? This is when I die. I accepted it at that moment, but I continued to walk down. What am I going to do? I'm just going to have a good time. Maybe I'm being closed-minded. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. Right? We get down there. I'm like, you're going to look at me. You're going to tell me that I'm wrong. You're going to tell me that I'm wrong. This is it, right? It's like, I'm surprised I didn't see, and I wasn't really looking and scavenging for them, but like a loose needle on the ground,
No, for
I'm
real.
like, and it's not from the knits that the woman upstairs was wearing. This would be from illicit drugs. Crazy. And so finally, I say finally, but like, it felt like a really long time that we were there. However, I really do think that we were there for a short period. That was the longest 20 minutes of my life. It was like, welcome to death row. And so it was like, yeah. So we get up, we go. And, next situation, we try to call an Uber.